In this video series, you will learn how to cut the fabric required for an Angrakha. We shall start by cutting the back pattern. To learn how to make the pattern, watch the previous videos. For cutting fabric, you will need your pattern, fabric in 2 different colors, some pins, a piece of chalk, a measuring tape, a pair of scissors, and a ruler. Take a sheet of what will be used as the main fabric for your garment and spread it out on the table. Fold the sheet such that its overlapping layers are at least half an inch wider than the pattern of the back panel. The first step will be to mark the outline of the pattern on the fabric. Once this is done, pin the pattern to the sheet of fabric at the points shown. These pins will keep the pattern firmly in place on the fabric. Using a piece of chalk and a measuring tape, mark a series of points half an inch above the shoulder seam to demarcate a seam allowance. Connect the points with a dotted line. Extend the dotted line past the edge of the pattern as shown. Use a pair of scissors to cut the fabric along the outline. Don't forget to cut along the neckline and to include the shoulder seam allowance. Remove the extra fabric material. Mark the hemline 1 inch from the bottom of the side seam line. Fold the sheet of fabric along with the pattern at the mark you have just made and snip the corner so it forms a notch. Next, make a similar notch half an inch into the adjacent side to mark the seam allowance. Make another notch, marking the other end of the seam allowance, half an inch into the arc of the armhole. From the top of the armhole, make a mark half an inch into the shoulder seam as allowance for the binding. Snip a notch to mark the shoulder seam at the top corner of the pattern's armhole as well as on the mark made just before on the adjacent side. Finally, make a notch where the shoulder seam meets the neckline. Unpin the pattern sheet from the fabric. You may now open out the fabric. You have now learned how to cut the fabric required for the back piece of an Angrakha. To learn how to cut fabric for the 2 front panels, watch the next video.